Welcome to Business Prowess with Rafael and Dr. Andrea. Our show will bring you the best insights, ideas, and inspiration from successful entrepreneurs and CEOs in the business world. Don't miss out on the opportunity to learn from the best and stay ahead of the game. Sifu Rafael is the founder of 5 unique shows. He's a fitness professional, solutions expert, executive coach, and head instructor at Max Martial Arts and Fitness in New York. Dr. Andrea Adams-Miller is an award-winning international keynote speaker, best-selling author, and CEO of the Red Carpet Connection Publicity, Publishing, and Talent Agency, and CEO of IgniteYourRelationship.com. Known as the Dream Maker, she makes visionaries' dreams come true, bigger than they ever dare to desire.
Dr. Andrea, happy Friday. How are you this morning?
Happy Friday. It looks like I'm crying, but I'm really not.
Those tears of joy, maybe?
Joy, because I'm with you again today.
I am so fortunate that you are. Thank you for being here, of course. But we have 2 amazing individuals joining us. And today's topic is transforming challenges into triumphs. Why don't we go ahead and bring them on?
Please.
Laura, Andrea, how are you both?
I'm awesome.
Excellent.
It's a great day today.
You're awesome with what?
It's a great day today.
For sure.
And
Ditto.
yeah, thank you, Andrea.
Yeah.
And then, am I pronouncing your name right? Is it Andrea?
Yes, it's Andra, like Sandra
Yeah.
without the S.
Yeah. So I'm Andrea. So that's
Okay, gotcha.
all those different variations. So
for
thank
sure.
you.
I'll answer to all of it, honestly. All
perfect.
good.
Sounds wonderful. Well, we have this lovely title, transforming challenges into triumphs. So I haven't met a person ever who doesn't have some kind of a challenge. And often when we don't have a challenge, sometimes we have a challenge with the fact that we don't have a challenge.
True. Good
It's
point.
actually a line. I'm in a musical right now, and there's a line that idea comes from, and it's I'm in James and the Giant Peach, and the earthworm is an anxious character, and at one point he's like, there's a problem, and they're like, what? And he's like, the problem is there's no problem. And that does come up for our lives, where people sometimes aren't okay with the fact that things are okay and working well. So they're anxious about things working well. And, certainly both of you being professional women, you have seen probably situations like that. So I wondered if maybe you'd address it. Why don't you, Andrea, go first and kind of respond to that?
Well, it is a great point. I do think that there are times in our lives when that can come up, when we sort of seek conflict because it's what we know, or because it's something that we're more comfortable in, right? That can happen. In the world that I am in, which is, I am a divorce coach, I'm a mediator, I work with men and women who are in a really challenging transition and are looking to manage that from their emotional standpoint, to navigate it with the best of intention, show up as their best self as much as possible. It's not as much of the issue that I see on a regular basis, because they typically come to me because they are in a conflict, because they are in a real challenging situation. So I do think it's interesting as a consideration post-divorce, right? Are you seeking conflict because it's what you knew in your relationship, or are you, not comfortable in this new healthy space because it's not what you've been used to? We have to recondition ourselves to accept that being happy and living our lives with joy and intention is amazing and what we deserve. And we don't have to seek something negative to undo that. When it starts to happen, that's great. I actually saw this quote recently that reminds me of this very much, that um, a woman said, my therapist told me that I'm not in therapy to heal from the trauma and the pain and the, conflict that's happened in my life. I've been through that. I know how to handle that. I'm in therapy now to handle being joyful and accepting the gifts that come my way because I'm not used to being there. And I think
Mm.
that really is appropriate for, this topic, what you're saying, Dr. Andrea, and that so many of us, whether or not we're in a high conflict situation at the moment, have an opportunity to reflect and accept more joy and more gratitude and more abundance into our lives on a daily basis.
I love that idea because, and so does the dog. The dog agrees 100%, right?
I'm sorry. I
Think
know.
about, no. Hey, listen, we love dogs here, so it's okay. And Dr. Andrea has a
Oh,
little
good.
cat running around. But consider, even though the topic is based on business, but marriage is a merger of two businesses, if you will. And sometimes the reason they break up and the reason they need you, Andrea, is because they don't agree anymore. They don't see eye to eye anymore. So they do go through these challenges, but then how do we get to the other side? Listen, I've been divorced. It was not my choice. It was her choice. But I didn't want it. I thought we can work it out. It didn't work out. But I did benefit from that marriage.
Oh, right.
And my benefits are called Marco and Giovanni.
Exactly. That's a
beautiful
great way to
kids.
look at it. That's exactly right. You have to find gratitude for the gifts that came out of it. And I don't mean that to sound Pollyanna. It's not simple. It's not,
Mm-mm.
so easy just to change your mind shift like that. There are challenges, real challenges, mindset, lifestyle, financial, that come with any divorce. So that's a down the road issue, when in my experience,
Right.
navigating it is one thing, navigating the day to day is one thing, and the process, the actual divorce, and then learning from it and figuring out how to find those areas of gratitude. Hopefully our kids rise to the top immediately. Obviously that's the easy one. It's harder to find some of the other ones that we have to dig a little deeper for in some cases.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Laura, you're such a powerful woman, and I love the energy that you bring into business, but also your personal life, and how you help other people navigate business, entrepreneurship, and so forth. Would you mind chiming in?
Sure. I mean, I think this is a great topic. I was in this training recently, and they brought up a really important thing, and it was so simple, but I had this big aha moment. And it said, this is us as humanity. This is us developing on this way or this quickly, and this is society, and this is how fast society is moving. So it's the first time in history where it's like that. And so what's happening is everyone is in some state of overwhelm like they never have been before, and it's starting to become the norm. And so that's why it was really interesting when Dr. Miller made that comment. It's almost like we're trapped into it, and we have to have this awareness about it so that we can manage it on a daily basis and take control of how we're going to, have the awareness about how we're going to interact, right? So I know people who love the drama and the trauma, and they always generate that to live in that energy, and that's okay for them. It works for them. It's dysfunctional. And the other piece of this is how not to judge people like that, because that is their path, right? First of all. So, but the path I'm on is a little different to helping people, right? So just through the training that I've had over the last decades, my growth as a person, I don't need to be in that state of conflict because I know how that ripples out. And I'm very aware of that. And so when I work with my client, my number one thing when I work with them is to get them out of overwhelm so that they can figure out who they truly are. Because our natural state, and Andrea said something like this, is to be in joy. And when we're in joy, people are like, well, what do you want? Are you doing mushrooms? Are you doing drugs? Right? Like all that stuff. Right? And like, because it's not our natural state, right? They don't, our natural state is to be in joy. And so hitting that state can be challenging, especially you don't just even as a person with your own challenges, but also with all the socioeconomic and social challenges that we have. It's another layer on top of that. And so really being mindful and having the awareness of working when I work with my clients is, they've got their own stuff, their limiting beliefs, their mindset stuff, their vision, they're not aligned, right? And then they have this other piece that they've got to deal with every single day when they wake up. And so it can be overwhelming. And so getting connected back to ourselves through meditation, through training, like for whatever it is for each person, affirmations, clearings, whatever, is really key. And we have to stay on it all the time. We can't let it go because it's so tempting to get into that other state. Unfortunately, as human beings, negativity is easy to reach for. And that's not really the path to growth for human beings.
Love that. Definitely not getting into their space. It is, I think, a very interesting and productive way of living your life, whether it's business also, because business is challenging without getting into the personal aspects of it, right? And so if we are having challenges in the business, how do we come to the other side? How do we look at that triumph as we're moving forward with it? That was a question, by the way.
Yeah, I'll go first. That's cool. I think that sometimes we need to be grounded in what our goals are, because sometimes we have these big aspirations and we don't use all of the tools that we have, the strategies to ground everything in to make it possible. And the other piece is a lot of us try to do it alone, and it can work, but it's a lot more work. And so leaning on the people that you depend on, you trust, the stuff we all need now to have a thriving business, funnels and, email lists and all that stuff, right? Having all of that is essential to being grounded in your business and having goals that are attainable. And then the biggest part of that, Sifu Rafael, I would say, is don't be so hard on yourself. Like, if you don't make your goal, you're going to wake up tomorrow and have another opportunity. So just be in the greatness that you are and know that you're enough, right? And so I think that knowing our greatness and what our genius is and working in that and knowing that that's enough, no matter what anybody else says, because we're going to be the biggest judges on ourselves, that more than anybody else can be.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
I might add too, I think I love that. I love thinking that tomorrow's always another opportunity to try again. I love that. And I think, something that I've been focusing a lot on for 2025 is consistency, and is the option to, James Clear, Atomic Habits, if you haven't read it, is a fantastic book. And, he says, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. So I love that quote. I actually have it right here on my computer. I see it all the time. Because, if it's one thing to have these goals, but if you don't have a process in place to help keep you on track, to just do the little things each day, whatever those things are that you identify for yourself every day, whether you're reaching out to people, you're connecting, you're exercising, you're, initiating conversation with people, whatever those are, setting that standard for yourself, that you're able to implement every day, that consistency is then achievable, where the big goals can feel so overwhelming. And I think that's part of why people give up on them so quickly, right? When it comes to, their intentions for the new year, right? Their resolutions. And what do they say? Most people, drop those by mid-January. And it's because it's hard, right? But if you set more realistic, every day I'm going to do these small things instead of by X date, I'm going to, be shredded. Maybe there's a better approach to that is more achievable and lets you see those small wins and do what Laura's saying, which is appreciate that you're enough every day instead of feeling like, oh my gosh, I can't get there.
I think if you're lettuce, it's good to be shredded eventually, right?
I'm not complaining if someone's shredded. I just think that, if you're going to say, here I am today, and by X date, that's what I want to be, but I don't have the plan to get there, that may not be a realistic approach or goal, excuse me.
So I was kind of cracking up, how like the conversation kind of fit what was going on for me is Facebook was having me post this like 20 times. And so I was trying to manage something. So when people in their lives, whether it's in my relationship with Facebook in that moment where it was becoming overwhelming and I needed to just step away from it for a moment. So it made me think of, you with the divorce situation and what you were mentioning too, Laura, is, how people can handle challenges and what they see and how they can do it. So I was over here having a little crack up party laughing by myself at that whole idea of hearing you guys talk and how our relationship with technology and things and coworkers and personal relationships all can fall into this blend of, confusion sometimes where our ideas or our goals or our expectations of what things are don't always match what we think that they could be. But if we are able to step back and realize it's just what it is for the moment and not get caught up in the story of that it's always going to be this way. Eventually Facebook will cooperate with me or we'll figure out a new platform, something will happen. And, when we look at that, and then so I'm a neuroscientist and I do different sessions to help release limiting beliefs. So Laura, you had mentioned something about if people don't, overcome or release those limitations, that's what I love about what I do is, and when we have different guests on, I'm able to hear, different opportunities on how, reframe. I think every single one of our guests, whether they know it or not, is using some kind of NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, whether you learned it on purpose or learned it accidentally or just have a natural idea of helping people reframe the picture and help releasing the stories and just allows people to show up in a new, more better perspective. So thank you guys for sharing. I'm enjoying this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, likewise. Laura, I'm sorry, Andrea, you talked about people quit on their goals in the beginning of this year. They call it January 27th, right? And most people, they start something and it becomes hard. They don't see the results immediately. And so that, yes, they want to get shredded. But maybe you're not meant to be shredded. Maybe you're just meant to be fit. Maybe your heart needs to pump better. Your blood pressure needs to be better. And people look at other people and they have this fear of missing out. How did they do this? Why are they driving this car? Look at their body. Look at this. And we forget who we are.
Yeah.
We have a capability of being the best version of us, but we forget that part and we try to be something we're not. And
that comparison
believe that,
is so damaging,
it.
Right? Yeah, I think that's so true. And I think that's very appropriate in the divorce, in the relationship space, whether it's divorce or just any relationship that you have. It's very easy to look around. I remember when I was going through my own divorce, And I felt like everywhere I looked was just happy married people. And I was the only one who was, suffering through this divorce and feeling so lonely and isolated and overwhelmed. And that how come all these other people could make their marriage be, what they wanted, and mine was failing? Why did it feel like that? And of course, that was the mindset that I was in at that time, and the grief that I was experiencing as I went through it. But to be able to recognize that everybody is going through something, right, behind a closed door. We don't know what their path has been. We don't know what their challenges are. We don't know what they're dealing with today. And for us to extend that kind of grace out into the world for everybody not only reduces, in my experience, that, comparison, that less than feeling, right, but it gives us the a less pressure to be like everybody else too, because we know that everybody is dealing with their own stuff. Everybody's got their own issues that come up, and we just don't know what they are, just because we don't see them all the time, and we're not walking around with a sign that says, I'm in divorce, I'm dealing with a addiction, I'm dealing with a medical issue, I'm dealing with heartbreak. It would be nice if people came with like the little sandwich signs around there, but since they don't, we oh my gosh, talk about overwhelm, right? No. Yeah, but since we don't have sandwich signs, it just is good to extend that. I think that just general grace to people, that we know that they're probably experiencing something, and we give them room to try and navigate that.
Oh, yeah. I have a really good friend of mine, and Laura, you may know him, David Kovar,
Yeah.
a great martial artist, and he has core teaching principles. And he gave me this card, and it's pretty cool. It says, "I will teach this class because it is the most important class I will ever teach." And what he means by that is that, and just like when we share a smile, when we share a kind word, it may be the last class you'll ever take with me, and I want it to be your best experience. You may be on the quitting side, but this particular class is going to change your mind and show you that there is triumph if you stick with it. And I love that core principle, because it's not just about teaching a class. It's how do we show up when we're there with another person? How do we even shake somebody's hand? Do we do it warmly, or do we do it in a cold manner? How do we say hello to somebody? How do we even say goodbye to somebody and leave a lasting impression that's going to impact them? I've heard so many speakers say to me, especially faith-based speakers, say to me, I didn't know that my words touched upon somebody, when somebody actually came to me after my presentation and said, today was going to be my last day living. But because of what you said, and it felt like, even though there was 500 people here, it felt like you were just talking to me. And therefore, I'm not taking my life today. I see through your words that my life has meaning. And that's why I love those core teaching principles, because the way we show up for another human being, we don't know. So let's be there. Let's be super impactful as a leader, as a business owner. When you have an employee come in and their shoulders are down, instead of saying, get to work, we should say, hey, do you have a minute? Tell me what's going on. Because you're no longer their boss. You're coming with your heart to say, I see you. And even though we have a job to do, and maybe we even have a deadline that's already late, let me give you 2 minutes, 5 minutes to be there with you.
That's a lesson we can take all day out into the world. I love that.
I appreciated that the talk about your friend being the teacher, saying this is the last time I teach this class, and I was thinking about that because it's the first time he's teaching that class, and it's the last time you're teaching that class, and I've been super emotional this week. I think it's because we opened for the play, and you two women don't know me, so you don't know. I overcame cancer diagnosis this year, and didn't cry about it. I handled it really well. Took it really super strong. And a week after I got out of the hospital, trying out for the play to be in this musical. As soon as I stepped on theater again, I realized I could step back into my full energy of me, because I was really questioning after the surgery, did I have the strength and the ability to be my full self again? Because it just the surgeries were more than I anticipated, and took so much out of me I could barely even talk. And I'm a super high energy person. And when I got on stage and sang, I just knew that I needed that. And so we opened last night. And so this whole idea that, I get to live and show up on stage and every night have a new performance, and every night it's that audience is the only audience that night. And then when it's over, that night is done. And it's such a joy. I don't look joyful, but it is. I'm crying out of joy, not out of sadness, for that opportunity, because, and it is kind of funny. It's like, I don't know, like a delayed reaction from all of this, because today is my official 12 weeks too of, all right, now I'm allowed to exercise normal and lift over 5 pounds. So that ability to okay, I'm officially allowed to live today.
she's in her stage of triumph. I got to tell you, she said surgeries, and she had more than one surgery on at the same time by different doctors. And what I always see with Dr. Andrea is, some people may not see it, but I see a beautiful flowing cape right there.
Thank you.
So she is a superwoman for sure.
Yeah. I did have 5 surgeries in 11 weeks, and on the last surgery day, there was 2 of them. So I had a total radical hysterectomy and third of my colon removed. So, wow. But I'm doing great, and I'm in a musical. So there you go.
There you go is right. That's a perfect example, right, of not knowing what is happening for someone behind the scenes who shows up, looking great with a, big smile and a whole bunch of energy, and focused on all of the work around you. And yet you have just been dealing with all of these incredibly difficult and consuming things that anyone would say, you have every right to not be here or to prioritize doing something else, but here you are showing up and giving all of us your good energy, and thank you. It's really amazing, and congratulations on making it through all that. That's amazing.
Oh, thank you. And that's making me giggle, because so in true transparency, actually this is a perfect opportunity to tell people this. So we're on the air, we're on the internet, on the air. I'm in Ohio. It's cold, it's very windy today, not terribly windy, but windy today. And then all of a sudden my like I said, my Facebook's being weird and repeating things over and over again. So I'm trying to get that to stop, because I know people want to see the show, but maybe not post it, 10, 12 times. And my back door, apparently our framing of my door, I have French doors right here, has shrunk from the cold air. And my back door blew open during this. And no matter what I turned my camera off to go shove it shut, it will not stay shut. You can see that the locking mechanism just won't fit in the slot. So I have it pushed as much as I can, but there's a gap over a quarter of an inch. So I have 14-degree wind blowing in on me right now.
Keeps you.
Don't know, like, talk about what you don't know, like, and then whoever's dogs, or like some mailman came and you're like, great, now I have people here, you're trying to hit mute, there's so many things going on in people's lives all the time that we have no idea. I mean, maybe they ate something bad and they have a gurgly stomach,
Yeah. I have a really good story about that. Actually, you're gonna laugh your butt off about it. But well, I mean, at the time it was not funny. But so I was training for my my first world championship. Well, I had been 4 or 5 times. I'd only ever won silver and bronze. I'd never won gold. And so when you train, and Sifu Rafael will know more about this, you have a 9-month lead up gap to train in hit weight and in 2 days. So you're training to hit those 2 days. And so what we would train 4 or 5 times a week, and then train on our own as well. So you were in this regimen, diet, exercise, self-care, all this stuff to reach that peak to win and be the best. And so we had a team of 10 people. And so we had all won, but not at the level of a gold. We'd all hit silver and bronze. And so this was my 4th try at the World Championships. I'm like, this is enough. I've watched all my tapes. I know I need to improve here. And so as we started to go through the 9 month of training, our teacher started to go a little wacko. Like he started blaming us, and there was all this drama, and he was pointing fingers, and he started stealing money from us. So all these horrible things were happening. And what happened was the team came together, and we all started supporting each other without him, because he was not supporting us. He literally said to me at one point, you've got it. You can train yourself now. Right. This is after 10 years of having this teacher. Right. And I'm like, okay. So like he was trying to make me the scapegoat, whatever, that stuff. Right. So we get to the World Championships, and so he's stolen our money. We are all stressed out, and we're trying to work together. And I remember us being in the huddle, and I was just about to go up for my fight. And we all looked at each other, and I said, this is the time. This is the time we're going to step into it, because if we can get through the challenges that we just had the last 9 months, we can do anything. And it was just like this 30 seconds of like, I don't know if you've had this experience where you all like connect, and we all looked at each other in the eyes. And when you look in someone's soul, there are like 10 of us doing that. It was this crazy moment. And so we all nodded, we all agreed. And so then the circle broke up, and I went over to my, where I was going to fight in my round. And so the way it works is it's 3 rounds of 1 minute, and you go full out, full contact weapons. Right. And so I get in the first round, and I dislocated my pinky. So I was having a hard time holding on. Right. And so then we have a 30-second break in the round. I tape my fingers together. I shove them back in the glove. I go back into the second round. And then, so I did well in the second round. They took the first round. And in the third round, I'm like, this is it. This is it. I have no choice. Like, I need to win this round. And I was so tired. And I had probably about 15 fights before this to get to the gold medal round. And I just had this moment of connecting with myself and just like, what do you want out of life, Laura? Like, it was this pivotal moment that I think we as human beings have, and we just need to really recognize it when it happens. Like, just like what you were talking about, Dr. Mill, like it's that moment. Right. And so I went in and I fought, and I could see them getting tired, and I was like, and I was so tired, and I'm like, I'm not going to give up. And I went after them with everything I had, probably reserves I didn't even know I had. And in the end, when my hand went up at the end, and the breath is holding it, and it was this moment of disbelief. I'm like, damn, I did it. Right. Like, and so it was like this moment. I'm like, I did it. Right. Like, and there was no like accolades or anything. It's just like for myself, is like, I did it for myself. Right. And so like, it still makes me emotional talking about it. And so it was just this moment that I won 2 more championships, but I'll never win that first one again. And I'll never forget it. And I wish that for human beings all over the world to have those moments in their life, whatever it means, to be able to know that they can reach that, and they can live their life that way every single day if they choose to.
Love it. What a great story. Incredible.
Love that.
So, I have a student who actually comes in and he goes, I'm so tired. And then he would go and do something. I'll go, How you feeling? He goes, I'm so tired. I said, listen, you're never allowed to come back into my school saying I'm tired.
Right.
I never want to hear it. I understand that maybe you were somewhere else, but when you walk in this place, I need you fresh. I need you ready to be challenged. If you're going to come here tired, I'm going to send you home. And he was like, "Oh, what?" So now I ask him, I say, you tired? He goes, not at all. So it's that frame of mind that even if
Yeah.
you're tired, that you're going to persevere. But the
Right.
minute you start telling yourself a negative thing, your body's going to believe it
Yeah.
because our bodies listen to what our thoughts are.
And our words have power.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Very much.
Yep.
So. Yeah, very much so. So we have about 10 minutes left. So, Andrea, what is something that if you didn't get a chance to share it on this time segment, you would feel like you had done people a disservice?
Oh, I just love that question. So I think that, in the space that I'm in, divorce, right, it's so interesting because so many people go through it, with the divorce rates that they are, even if you haven't gone through it yourself, you know somebody who has, or you've been touched by it in your life through a sibling or a friend or, a relative somehow. So I guess what I would love for people to walk away with is that knowing that as isolating and lonely as it feels, um, that you don't have to be all by yourself through this process, that there are great support tools out there, and that everybody deserves emotional support through divorce. That's not a sign of being weak, of, oh, you just can't handle it. You should be able to get through this. Divorce is known to be the second most challenging life event that someone can go through after the death of a family member. There's a reason that it is that difficult, right? We have a lot invested in our relationships and our identity as a spouse, as a parent, and all of that stuff gets challenged when a marriage ends. So be gentle with yourself as you go through it. Give yourself the grace that we've sort of been talking about here, like you were saying, Dr. Andrea, to be vulnerable, to let yourself feel the emotions of the process. That's how you get through it, right? Is actually going in. You can't go around it. I wish you could. You have to go into it and feel that you deserve an amazing life that you love, and it is out there for you. I would never in a million years have thought that I could create the life that I have now when I was going through divorce. I would not have believed you if you told me that I would be living the life I have now, that I'm so grateful for. But I worked really hard, and you can do that too. And you don't have to do it alone. And everybody deserves that. And if you need to borrow my confidence or somebody else's, do it, because it's understandable that you don't have it in that moment, but it is out there for you. So I would just really leave your viewers, listeners with that thought that, you deserve the best, you deserve a life you love. It may be really overwhelming right now, but that doesn't mean it won't get better. And to give yourself the gift of support to get to the other side.
I just want to say congratulations. Wow. Right? Congratulations. I'm going to do a follow-up question on that. And I think maybe Dr. Andrea had one as well. I'm curious because for me, I believe that it should be harder to get married than divorced.
Well, yeah, that probably makes sense, right? There are no, classes you have to take. There are no prerequisites to marriage. And I think that for people to have a bit more pause before they go into that with a little more awareness of how challenging and difficult it can be to undo it, it would probably serve them very well. So yeah, that one is definitely outside of my control, but I can't argue. I do think it would be valuable for people to really understand the implications of choosing to go into marriage and then, not being aware maybe of how difficult it is to undo it.
If you recall what I said in the beginning about two entities coming together, two businesses coming together, and that's what creates a marriage. That's a merger. If somebody, Dr. Andrew's getting cold over there, that wind is coming through.
That Ohio wind, yeah.
If two companies are merging, there's a lot of due diligence that has to go into place. There's a lot of lawyers involved, and it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen over a weekend. There is so much paperwork involved. There's so much legalities, and I'm saying I'm an entity by myself. If I was going to marry any one of you, and I would be delighted if I could, I would want you to bring your business and for us to really negotiate why we're even getting into this marriage. That's my take.
So
great thought.
My thought, what I also was going to say, congratulations. So that's what I usually tell people. I say, I'm sorry that you're feeling such sadness and that it's uncomfortable and difficult for you. And congratulations, because you get to fall in love with yourself. And please know that this person was a love of your life.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
And you get to find the love of your life down the path, but hopefully it starts with you. I always want them to love themselves. So, yeah. And that would be neat. Message. And we have to have a driving test to pass. Like if you could say things about yourself, like, can you speak up for yourself? Do you have your own opinions? If this problem, if two trains are going one direction, blah, 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 like we have in math, if they can't answer how to handle, a challenge or, money or whatever, they're like, sorry, you have 30 more days till you can get your marriage certificate. Okay, Laura. Yeah, Laura, it's your time now. For you, what are you just busting to share?
Yeah, oh my God, I have so many stories, but we have limited time. So what I would love for people is, and I see it all the time when I work with people, because I work in the wealth space, is I want them to be aligned with their why, or their why makes up two things: their purpose and what drives them, right? Mm-hmm. And I see it a lot of the time why people are struggling to succeed, and it's because they're not aligned with what they're doing. And so this is a really important point that I really want people to think about it. And then the second part of that is, are you aligned? And if you are, why? Why are you aligned? And these are deeper questions that take time to answer. So obviously, and there's no wrong answer. Because if you're not aligned with what you're doing, then things will never succeed. Why are you getting up in the morning, right? And so this will actually give us the core of awareness around how we can be the best we can be, because I want to get up and kick ass every day. I don't know about you guys, right? And so I want that for the rest of the human race. So having these moments of reflection about, well, is what I'm doing really what I want to be doing? It can be really enlightening. So if I, tell you guys nothing else today besides my 50 million great stories, it would be that, right? There's a lot more attached with wealth and all that kind of stuff, but just be aligned with what you're doing, love what you're doing, and know that you're enough. It's okay. It doesn't matter what other people think. Go out there, be an ass kicker and a trailblazer, and that's it.
I love that.
I'm going to take that one away. Just go out there and be an ass kicker. I love that. I really do love that. That's awesome.
But don't just kick ass, bring people along, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Well, I just had my hero and the love of my life come in and save the day. He just kicked ass on the door here so we could get into the shot.
Yeah, it's
It's always a good thing.
important to be loving and nurturing, because without that we can't grow as human beings. But be relentless in what you do. And when you are, people will follow and want what you have. And then we can share and ripple that out to the world. And I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we are at that point where we're ending the show. But before we do that, I'd love to give everybody a chance, 30, 45 seconds, and tell us about you. We're going to have Laura, you're going to go first. We have your website going across, or how you can talk with Laura. And tell us what they can expect when they do. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, as you guys know, my name is Laura Armstrong. I'm a 3-time world champion martial artist. I'm a grandmaster, an international speaker and author. And I'm also the creator of the Wealth Mastery Systems, which I love. So I specialize in helping entrepreneurs and small business owners master their wealth and develop a powerful, positive relationship with money so that they can elevate their revenue fast, okay, and make the impact they're looking for on the world. You can reach out to me. I would love to hear more about you, what you do. I find people fascinating, as Sifu Rafael knows. So please book a call with me at talkwithlaura.com. I would love to hear from you, and I'm excited to know more about what you do.
Love it. Thank you, Laura. Andrea, your turn.
So thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to have been here with all of you today. And I am a certified divorce coach. I'm a mediator. I work with men and women who want to minimize the impact of divorce on themselves and their children, their families, who want to come through the process and be better on the other side. And I realize that that is a tall order, which is why we get some help along the way, because no one should have to do that by themselves. It is a very challenging and overwhelming process. And you can be better on the other side. And I've lived that, and I believe it. And I love helping clients rediscover their confidence, find their strength again, and live their purpose in a whole different way, and find gratitude eventually for that difficult road, for the gifts that may have come with that marriage, as crazy as that may seem in the beginning. So I have a digital course offering some emotional support tools. I have private coaching. I have some guides to difficult conversations on my website, some free downloads. And I would invite you to visit my website, betterthanbeforedivorce.com, to check out any and all of the above, and you can book a call there with me if you'd like. And I would welcome the opportunity to chat with any of these listeners who are invested in making themselves the best they can be.
Love it. Love it. Thank you.
Thank you for
Dr.
having
Andrea.
me today.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm so honored.
Oh, you're welcome. So Dr. Andrea Adams-Miller, the Red Carpet Connection, where we spin your heart, mind, business, and soul in the right direction so that you can have the spotlight's reflection. And we do publicity, business consulting, and neuroscience to help your mind be in peak performance so that you can live the best life and literally make your dreams become a reality. And so I'm always so honored to meet all of you. And Sifu, tell us all about you.
I am Sifu Rafael, and you can find me easy at sifu@speakingprowess.com. That is my email. That's also my website, right? Speakingprowess.com. If you send me any spam, I'm going to send you Laura Armstrong, and she will kick your butt. So don't do that. So for me, it's always about connecting with people, helping them with their communication styles, because when you communicate properly, maybe you'll have a better marriage, a better business, a better communication with your children, become a better speaker. Every one of us here on this panel is a public speaker. If you want to hire any one of us, reach out. We're available. Thank you. I love you guys. This was so much fun.
Ditto.
What is that word?
Absolutely. It's awesome.
You know when people say ditto, like when I'll ask, I'm in a group of people and they'll say it's the same. I'm like, no, it's not the same, because you interpret it differently. Your version is different. So I encourage you not to ditto. Thank you, everybody. Do me a favor, ladies. Stay on for a minute. We're going to say goodbye to everybody. Have yourself the most incredible Friday, and happy Friday, everybody. Take care.